Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. Mark is an experienced beach lifeguard. His wife Sophia runs a local gallery. Their seemingly mundane lives take a dramatic turn at a painting exhibition. That evening, the gallery was packed, and Sophia was busy with customers. Mark stands in the corner with a glass of champagne, admiring the paintings hanging on the wall. Suddenly, a tall, lanky man walked in and caught everyone's attention. "That's Felix Blackwood," Sophia whispered excitedly to Mark. "He's a famous yacht collector." Felix looked around the room and his eyes finally landed on Sophia. He smiled, walked over, held out his hand and said, "You must be the owner of this gallery. I've heard great things about you, Sophia." Sophia's face flushed, and she took Felix's hand. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Blackwood. Welcome to our gallery." From that day on, Felix became a regular visitor to the gallery. He always appears with a charming smile and buys an expensive painting every time. Mark notices Sophia's growing obsession with Felix. There was a gleam of excitement in her eyes and a tone of longing for Felix's sea adventures. One night, Sophia came home much later than usual. When Mark asked why, she stammered, "Felix invited me to visit him on his yacht." "That's fantastic, Mark. Can you imagine? That yacht is bigger than our house." Mark felt a pang of unease, but he chose to trust his wife. However, as time goes on, Sophia's behavior becomes stranger and stranger. She often came home late at night, was always distracted, and seemed to have lost interest in family life. Finally, on a breezy weekend morning, Sophia sat down at the dining room table with a twinkle in her eye and said to Mark, "We need to talk." Mark's heart sank. He knew what he was going to hear next was not going to be good news. Sophia took a deep breath and said, "Mark, I'm in love with Felix. I know it's ridiculous, but I can't help myself. He gave me an excitement and adventure that you can't give. I want to be with him." Mark felt a wave of vertigo, as if the whole world was spinning. Trying to remain calm, he asked, "What about our marriage? What about our families?" Sophia lowered her head, her voice trembling, and said, "I don't know. All I know is that I can't resist Felix's attraction." "I'm so sorry, Mark." Mark spent the next few days as if he were a zombie. He couldn't believe that his marriage of over 10 years had ended like this. Every night, he would go to the beach alone and stare at the endless ocean. It was then that fate gave Mark a pleasant surprise. He was sitting on the beach one evening, drinking away his sorrows, when he suddenly heard a gentle voice from behind him. "Mind if I sit here?" Mark looked up and saw a beautiful woman. She had soft brown curly hair and eyes as blue as the ocean. "Sure, don't mind," Mark said. "I'm Mark." "My name is Olivia," the woman said with a smile. "I work at the nearby Oceanographic Institute." They started chatting, from marine life to philosophy of life, and the topic became deeper without realizing it. Olivia's wisdom and humor made Mark feel more at ease than ever. As night fell, stars dotted the sky. Mark and Olivia lay side by side on the beach, listening to the sound of the waves. "You know," Olivia said softly, "sometimes life is like the ocean. Sometimes calm as a mirror, sometimes choppy. But no matter what, there's always new life being birthed in it." Mark turns his head and looks at the side of Olivia's face. Her silhouette looked so soft and beautiful in the moonlight. In that moment, Mark felt something slowly awakening in his heart. "Maybe you're right," Mark said with a small smile. "Maybe now is the time to start a new life." They looked at each other and smiled, hope shining in their eyes. The gentle breeze of the sea brings new possibilities. Mark knew that this could be a fresh start, a brand new journey. Witnessed by the stars and the sea breeze, Mark and Olivia's story has just begun. Although there may be twists and turns and challenges ahead, at this moment, they all feel the hope and anticipation welling up inside them. This is a story of betrayal, loss, but ultimately finding new love and meaning in life. The twist of fate, though cruel, brings unexpected beauty. Mark and Sophia's twin daughters, Emma and Lily, always thought their parents were happily married. However, one normal Tuesday afternoon, their world suddenly came crashing down. Emma hurries over to Lily after school with an uneasy look on her face. "Lily, did you hear?" she asked in a low voice. "I just heard Alice say that Mom spends a lot of time with a rich businessman named Felix." Lily frowned. "That's impossible. Mom loved Dad. How could she?" Before she could finish her sentence, Emma interrupted. "But Alice said she saw Mom on his yacht with that Felix." The two girls returned home with heavy hearts to find Mark sitting in the living room, looking grave. Seeing the confused and worried looks in his daughter's eyes, Mark knew it was time to tell them the truth. "Boys," Mark said softly, "I have something to tell you." Emma and Lily both cry when Mark tells them about Sophia and Felix. They couldn't believe that their gentle and sweet mom would do such a thing. "What are we going to do after that?" Lily asked, sobbing. Mark wrapped his arms around his two daughters and said tenderly, "We're still a family. No matter what happens, I will always love and take care of you." The atmosphere in the house became unusually heavy over the next few days. Emma and Lily become cold towards Sophia and sometimes even refuse to talk to her. Sophia feels guilty and bitter, but she still can't make up her mind to end her relationship with Felix. To ease the tension in the family and get to know Olivia, Mark decides to invite Olivia to participate in a beach cleanup organized by his daughter's school. That day, the sun was shining and the sea breeze was gentle. Emma and Lily were initially wary of Olivia, but her enthusiasm soon became infectious. "Look," Olivia said, pointing to a small puddle on the beach, "there's a hermit crab here." Emma and Lily came over curiously. Olivia carefully holds up the hermit crab and explains the creature's habits to the girls. "They keep changing to new shells as they grow," Olivia says, "and just like us humans, sometimes it takes courage to adapt to new environments." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "Like us now?" Olivia smiled gently. "Yes, changes in life can be scary at times, but they can also bring unexpected beauty. It's important that we keep our hearts open and brave." As the cleanup progresses, Emma and Lily are gradually drawn to Olivia's passion and intelligence. Together, they picked up trash and Olivia explained the impact of ocean pollution on the ecosystem and what each of us can do to protect the oceans. "Did you know?" Olivia says, "Sea turtles often mistake plastic bags for jellyfish and eat them, which can seriously jeopardize their health." "That's horrible," Lily exclaimed. "We must be more careful not to litter." Emma nodded thoughtfully in agreement. At sunset, when they had collected the last of the garbage, Emma suddenly asked, "Olivia, will you come to see us more often?" Olivia looked at Mark for a moment, then smiled and said, "I'd be happy to visit more often if you'd like." Lily says shyly, "We want to hear more about the ocean." Mark watched the scene and a warmth welled up in his heart. He knows that while there is still a long road ahead, at least, his daughters are beginning to accept Olivia. Meanwhile, Sophia's heart is going through an unprecedented ordeal. Felix's sweet talk and lavish lifestyle intoxicate her, but she feels overwhelming guilt whenever she thinks of her daughters. One night, while sitting alone on the deck of Felix's luxury yacht, Sophia fought back tears. Felix came over and hugged her tenderly. "What's wrong, honey?" Felix asked softly. Sophia sobbed, "I miss my daughters." "Felix, are we doing the right thing? I ruined my family." Felix stroked her back and said, "Sophia, that's how love works. Sometimes we have to make choices. You deserve better, don't you?" Sophia didn't answer. She looked out over the glittering sea in the distance, her heart filled with conflict and pain. She knows she's hurting those she loves most, but she can't resist the passion and adventure Felix brings her. As Sophia struggles with her pain, Mark's heart burns with rage. He couldn't accept that Felix had destroyed his family so easily. One day, Mark secretly rents a speedboat and decides to follow Felix's yacht. He wants to find evidence that Felix has toyed with women in order to awaken Sophia to Felix's true nature. Mark follows Felix's yacht to a remote bay. He hid in the distance, watching the yacht with binoculars. Suddenly, he sees Felix talking intimately with a strange woman who is clearly not Sophia. Over the next few days, Mark continues to follow Felix and realizes that Felix is not only having an intimate relationship with Sophia, but is also having affairs with several women at the same time. Every time he sees Felix sweet-talking these women, Mark's anger burns hotter. One night, While Mark is following Felix again, he overhears a conversation between Felix and a business partner. "These rich wives are so gullible," said Felix complacently, "that they will take the bait if you give them a little sweetener. When I get what I want, I'll kick their asses." Mark clenched his fists as he finally saw Felix for what he was. This man is nothing but a playboy, a liar who plays with women's emotions. At that moment, Mark was determined to expose Felix's true colors, not only for Sophia, but also for all the women who had been cheated by Felix. He begins secretly gathering evidence, ready to expose Felix for what he has done in due course. What Mark doesn't realize, however, is that his actions have caught the attention of some people. An even bigger storm is quietly brewing that is about to revolutionize everyone's destiny. It was a stormy night with howling winds and huge waves. Felix's luxury yacht, the Pearl of the Seas, is bouncing along, its laughter drowned out by the storm. Sophia stood on the deck, gripping the railing with a sense of unease. She didn't want to go sailing in this weather, but Felix insisted on having the party, saying it would be an exciting adventure. Now, looking around at the dark sea and the constant flashes of lightning in the sky, Sophia begins to regret her decision. Suddenly, a loud bang cut through the night sky. Sophia felt the deck beneath her feet vibrate violently, followed by a violent rocking. She heard people screaming and saw flames coming out of the cabin. "It's on fire! The yacht is sinking!" someone yelled. In the midst of the chaos, Sophia sees Felix hurrying to the lifeboat. She tried to call out to him, but her throat felt like it was blocked by something and she couldn't make a sound. The next second, there was another loud bang and an even bigger fireball erupted from the cabin. Sophia was toppled by the shockwave and landed heavily on the deck, unconscious. When Sophia wakes up again, she finds herself in a hospital bed. Mark sat on the edge of the bed, worry and exhaustion written all over his face. "Thank God you're finally awake," Mark said, relief in his voice. Sophia struggles to recall what happened, but her memory seems to be shrouded in a fog. "Where's Felix? Where are the others?" she asked weakly. Mark's expression turned serious. "Felix didn't survive. The yacht exploded and sank, and only you and a few others were rescued." Sophia felt a wave of vertigo and tears flowed uncontrollably. Even though Felix cheated on her, she never wanted him to meet such an end. To add to her horror, she realizes that she was almost buried at the bottom of the ocean as well, never to see her daughters. It was during Sophia's hospitalization that the police became involved in the investigation into Felix's death. What Mark didn't realize was that he himself was the subject of an investigation. Detective Larson, a serious-faced middle-aged police officer, arrives at Mark's office. "Mr. Mark," he said, getting right to the point, "we have evidence that you were in the vicinity of the marina where the yacht was moored on the night in question. Can you explain?" Mark felt a cold sweat. He did go to the marina that night and was going to follow Felix's yacht again, but gave up because the weather was so bad. But he can't tell the police that. I went for a walk on the beach that night," Mark stammered, "just to get some air." Detective Larson narrowed his eyes, obviously not too pleased with that answer. "Mr. Mark, I suggest you think about it. If there's anything to add, feel free to contact us." When Mark comes home and tells Olivia about it, she looks very worried. "Mark, you must be careful," she said. "I believe you are innocent, but you must prove it." Olivia begins to help Mark gather evidence of his exact location at the time of the murder. She contacted people who might have seen Mark that night in an effort to establish an alibi for him. Meanwhile, Sophia is still in a state of great shock and remorse. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees the image of Felix struggling in the fire. She started psychotherapy to try to get out of the haze. After a therapy session, Sophia met Felix's wife, Miranda. Miranda is an elegant, middle-aged woman with a look of intelligence and strength in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," Sophia choked out. I shouldn't have." Miranda raised her hand to stop her. "Sophia, you don't need to apologize. Felix has always been that way, and you're not the first woman he's cheated on, and you won't be the last." Sophia looked at Miranda in surprise. You know?" Miranda smiled bitterly. "Of course I know. But for the good of the family, I chose to remain silent. Now, it's time for a change. Miranda tells Sophia that she has taken over Felix's company. I need your help, Sophia, Miranda said. You know the gallery business, and our company has a lot of art investments. I want you to come work for me. Sophia hesitated. She doesn't know if she'll have the courage to face everything that's going on with Felix. But Miranda's next words hit her. It's not just a job, Sophia. It's a chance to start over. We've all been hurt by Felix, but we can't let his shadow hang over us forever. Sophia looked into Miranda's eyes and suddenly felt a power she had never felt before. She realizes that Miranda is much stronger than she thought. Perhaps that's what she needs to learn. I accept, Sophia said, with a new determination in her voice. Just as Sophia is ready to start a new life, Mark gets into deeper trouble. The police found evidence that he was following Felix, which made him even more suspicious. Olivia stood firmly by Mark's side. We'll get through this together, she said, holding Mark's hand. I believe in you, and so do our girls. Emma and Lily also showed maturity beyond their years. They offered to testify that their father was indeed at home on the night of the murder. However, the local prosecutor seemed determined to prosecute Mark. On a rainy morning, Mark was taken to the police station. Just then, an unexpected person stepped forward. Miranda walked into the police station and asked to see Detective Larson. I have some documents from Felix's life, Miranda said, and these may help you find the truth. Miranda brought in documents that revealed some of Felix's shady dealings. These deals may have offended some dangerous people, opening up new possibilities for Felix's death. As the investigation deepens, the truth gradually emerges. Felix's death was no mere accident, but a well-planned murder. The real killer was Felix's longtime business partner. The whole family breathed a sigh of relief when Mark was finally cleared. But the experience also made them realize that there are many unknown challenges waiting for them in life. In the midst of this turmoil, everyone has learned and grown in new ways. Sophia learns to be independent, Mark learns to appreciate, and Emma and Lily become stronger. And Olivia, with her wisdom and courage, became an integral part of the family. What neither of them knew, however, was that the storm seemed to have died down, but the gears of fate were still turning in the dark. Bigger challenges, deeper secrets, are waiting to be uncovered and confronted. As time went on, the storm seemed to die down. Mark and Sophia eventually reached a divorce settlement, with both parties hoping to maintain a peaceful relationship for the sake of their children. Sophia, with Miranda's help, became the gallery's head auctioneer. Her expertise and unique artistic taste quickly earned her a reputation in the industry. Work has given her a new focus in life and has helped her to slowly move on from her past. At an exhibition, Sophia meets an art critic named Adrian. Adrian is a gentle man with an eye for art. The two had a great time talking to each other and soon developed a new relationship. This relationship has given Sophia a renewed zest for life. Meanwhile, Mark and Olivia's relationship is steadily growing. Olivia moves into Mark's home and quickly wins Emma and Lily over with her gentle and caring nature. Shortly after, Mark proposed to Olivia and the two were married in a simple and cozy ceremony on a sunny day. Shortly after the wedding, Olivia became pregnant. When she gave birth to adorable twins, the entire family basked in happiness. The boy's name is Leo and the girl's name is Mia. Emma and Lily are both excited and responsible for having a younger sibling. Mark quit his job as a lifeguard to take better care of his family. Together with Olivia, he started a marine adventure company specializing in deep-sea diving and marine ecology expeditions for tourists. The job allows Mark to utilize his love of the oceans while combining it with Olivia's knowledge of marine biology. On the surface, everything is on track. Mark and Olivia are happily married and have a thriving career. Sophia has also found a new direction in her life, and her relationship with Adrian is growing steadily. Emma and Lily are doing well in school and little Leo and Mia are growing up healthy. However, underneath this calm surface, undercurrents are surging. Although Mark seems to have let go of the past, Felix's death remains a knot in his heart. He knew the truth was not as simple as it appeared. He did go to the docks that stormy night, and he did something that even Olivia doesn't know about. That night, Mark was supposed to follow Felix's yacht again to gather more evidence. But when he saw Felix boarding the yacht, an uncontrollable rage surged through him. He infiltrated the yacht and moved around the cabin. He had thought it would only cause some minor trouble, but he hadn't realized that it had triggered that deadly explosion. The secret weighs on Mark's mind day and night like a heavy burden. Every time he sees Olivia and the children's happy, smiling faces, the guilt becomes more intense. He's afraid that one day the truth will be revealed and that he'll lose everything he has now. One evening, Mark's good friend Miles and his wife Robin come to visit. The kids were asleep and the four adults were sitting in the backyard, drinking beer and talking. "You know," Robin said suddenly, "I've always thought that Olivia and I were a little alike." Mark froze and took a long look at Robin and Olivia in the distance. Indeed, both have soft brown curls and gentle eyes. He didn't know what to say. Robin continued, "Actually, many years ago, I used to think maybe you and I would be together." Miles smiled. With a shake of his head, "Hey, stop, that's all in the past." But Robin didn't stop there. Her eyes grew deep. "Do you know why I ended up with Miles, Mark?" Mark felt his throat tighten. "Why?" "Because I saw that anger inside you," Robin said softly. "The kind of anger that came from your parents that you've been trying to hide. I love you, Mark, but back then I was afraid of that anger." Mark felt the blood freeze in his body. He never thought Robin could see through him. Robin continued, "That day, after Felix's yacht exploded, I saw you leaving the marina in a hurry. I know that's you, Mark. I know what you did." Silence enveloped the entire backyard. Miles looked at his wife in amazement, unable to believe she knew so much. Olivia stood in the distance, seeming to sense something unusual in the atmosphere, but did not approach. Mark's hands were shaking as he struggled to speak. Robin, I'm interrupting. I haven't told anyone and I won't tell. Because despite everything, I still love you, Mark. You are Miles' best friend and part of our family." Mark felt a wave of vertigo. His secret, the one he'd kept buried deep in his heart, was known to Robin. But strangely, instead of feeling fear, he felt a sense of relief. "Are you guys okay?" Olivia's voice came from the distance. "It's okay, honey," Mark replied, trying to sound normal. "We were just talking about some old times." When Miles and Robin left, Mark stood in the backyard for a long time, staring at the stars. He knew that from tonight on, nothing would be the same. His secret was no longer a secret, but strangely enough, it was rather a relief. The next morning, Mark wakes up to find Olivia looking at him tenderly. "Are you okay, honey?" she asked. "You looked preoccupied last night." Mark took a deep breath and decided not to hold back. "Olivia, there's something I need to tell you." A long silence fell over the room as Mark said everything. Finally, Olivia gently took his hand. "Thank you for telling me this, Mark," she said, with a hint of tremor in her voice, but more determination. "We'll face this together, no matter what happens." Mark felt his eyes water. He knows that there may be a long road ahead and many more challenges. But at the moment, with Olivia by his side, the love of his children, and the support of his friends, he feels more courageous than ever. Perhaps that's life. It's full of betrayal, loss, renewal, hope, and never-ending challenges. But it is these ups and downs, that make up the true meaning of life. Mark stands up and walks over to the window. The sun is streaming in through the windows, and in the yard, Emma and Lily are teaching little Leo and Mia how to play soccer. Olivia stood behind him and gently wrapped her arms around his waist. In this moment, Mark knows that no matter what awaits them in the future, they will face it together, grow together, and move forward together. Because this is the power of love. This, then, is what home is all about. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.